Yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Donahue, one half of the Dave Hugh John podcast, and I'm coming at you here live, okay, live with Rudolph from the Dave Hugh John podcast studios. Anyway, unfortunately, Dave couldn't be here today, but you know what? That's okay, because as I said, anytime Dave can't be here, Rudolph will step in. And Rudolph, I know you did a phenomenal job in the last time we worked together, and I know you're going to do well this time too. So, appreciate you being here, Rudolph. Thank you for standing in. Don't worry, Dave will be back very soon. And we've got merchandise coming soon. We got all sorts of great stuff coming soon. You don't want to miss any of this, trust me. But anyway, today I thought what I'd do, along with Rudolph here, is I'd make a video talking about, video games, particularly retro gaming. Now, Dave and I have talked a lot on previous episodes. We've talked a lot about games, what we're playing right now, etc., and a little bit about retro games as well. And anyone who knows me knows I have been more into retro games, especially the last year or so. One of my goals, actually, is to expand my collection, particularly of original Xbox 360 games, Wii U games, stuff like that. And that's really one of my goals going forward, to actually build that up for the channel itself, actually, and do more videos on that on our YouTube podcast channel here. And I know that's the kind of content you guys love when you watch the Dave Hugh John podcast. I mean, I know you love all our content, but, that's something particularly that we've talked about kind of getting more into. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you today about a particular game I've been playing, and I'm sure you guys remember this, called Grand Theft Auto 3. Okay? Now, I remember this game from way, way, way back in the day. I used to play it with my friend and neighbor Dan, and Rob. So me, Dan, and Rob, we'd play this game, Grand Theft Auto 3, on PlayStation 2, all the time. And we just really put in the codes to kind of, just go and do whatever, to go on a rampage. And it was just fun. It was just a fun, game to play back in the day. And we really wouldn't even do the missions that much. But I actually never owned a PlayStation 2, so I never had this game on PlayStation 2. I did have an original Xbox, which this actually came out, I think, a few years later on the original Xbox, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't remember this right when it came out, when the Xbox was launched in 2001. Anyway, or maybe it was, I don't know. But anyway, so this game, okay, was a really cool game growing up. And I did have the original Xbox. I don't even know what happened to my original Xbox. I think, we George and I would always and Anthony would take our Xbox to Larry's house, and we'd have huge, Halo tournaments and stuff, and hook 3 or 4 consoles up, which was amazing back in the day. That was online play back in the day, except in person. But anyway, so I don't know what happened to the original Xbox, but I actually bought an original Xbox a few years ago, and I took it with me to New York and stuff, and I didn't really play it as much. Okay, but now it's the summertime, I have time off. So retro gaming is obviously, as I said, something I've been into, and I said, you know what, I want to play more of my original Xbox this summer, particularly this game. Because as I said, I played this game, I bought this game a few years ago, actually, for the original Xbox, and I played it as a kid, but I realized something, as I'd never beaten this game the whole way through. I just never did. From start to finish, I'd never beat it. I always play it, kind of mess around, and then that was it. So I said, you know what, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play it this summer. And honestly, because I have the time, I've been putting in, I don't know, maybe an hour a day, if that, sometimes longer. Which, should I be spending my time doing that? Probably not, but fuck it, whatever. So what I've been doing is I've been playing this game a lot. And I've been frustrated every now and then, though, because, maybe I'll put in an hour or two, okay? And I'll go to save it, and it'll freeze! The game will just freeze. And then it's if I did 3 or 4 missions that some of them were, are hard, that you have to maybe do 10 times or so before you get it right, okay? If it had been missions like that or whatever, and it was, really hard to do, it didn't matter because it wouldn't save. And that, I'll admit, I was fucking pissed a few times when that happened. but it is what it is, because obviously, look, this disc, it can get scratched, but upon looking at this disc, which I haven't really, I mean, it's not really that, well, it's not really that bad, but that is an issue with retro gaming if you think about it. Just the hardware gets old. I mean, this is console I'm playing it on is 17 years old, 18 years old, almost 20 years old. This disc is 15 years old or so, or whatever. They get scratched. It is used. And it's just what happens. So I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. Same thing with these old cartridges. Earthworm Jim 2, by the way, was an awesome game, but I'm sure you remember blowing into the cartridge. Apparently that isn't good, but everyone does it. So, this, I'm sure you remember with the cartridges that can happen, because apparently there's like a battery in here, and once that dies, you have to get it replaced or whatever. So, that can happen. It just does suck sometime, but it is kind of an issue with Rudolph. Come on, don't turn it off. No, keep the nose on, Rudolph. I'm sorry. He just. All right, sorry, man. Thank you. No, Rudolph agrees though. It is a bitch when you go to save something and it doesn't save. But I mean, again, the console's like 20 years old. The game's like almost as old. And it is used. It's kind of scratched, but not that badly scratched. But apparently, with discs, you don't want to, like, if you want to clean them, you don't clean them in a circular motion. I heard you just kind of go straight or whatever. I don't know if that's true. I remember reading that, but probably is. But yeah, I mean, so that's really all I wanted to talk about today. Just retro gaming issues with saving, and it just sucks, But I think, look, if you want to get seriously into retro gaming, which, I'm not the most serious retro gamer, no. Like I said, I want to build up the collection and have it be a larger part of our channel. But I think for anyone out there, if you want to, retro game, that's unfortunately going to happen. You're going to have times when you play, and you might put in like an hour's worth of work. And I say work lightly. Obviously, it's not like work, but you're going to put in an hour's worth of time, or maybe 2 hours, and you're not going to be able to save your progress. And that sucks. I mean, it's still fun playing, but it does suck not being able to save your progress sometimes. I think the best thing you can do is, what I did in GTA 3 was, once that started happening, and it happened like 3 or 4 times throughout the 2 or 3 weeks I've been playing, and it didn't happen that often, but just often enough to kind of piss me off. But anyway, one thing I would do is, if I'd save like every 20 minutes or so, I'd do a mission or two and then save it every time. And obviously, with modern console, whatever, like the Switch or Xbox One or whatever, you can, for most games, you can just save whenever, but obviously with this, it was old school. You have to go back to your home base place and save it and stuff. So what I'd recommend, other than cleaning it now and then, and look up the right way to do that. I should probably know that, but whatever. Other than that, save it every 20 minutes or so, even if it's annoying to do so, which it is. I get it. But that's just, it's what happens with old games like that. It's not going to be perfect. But that's actually the kind of, I don't know, that's the thing I like about retro gaming in a way. I appreciate that it is kind of imperfect. Okay? All right. Look, I'll be honest. Now I'm just really reaching for stuff to talk about. So I'm going to end this video soon. But no, I mean, that's kind of my big issue. I've just found in playing this game was the save states. Was saving it sometimes didn't work. But that was only like 15% of the time. 85% of the time, everything was fine. So yeah, I would certainly, overall, obviously this isn't necessarily a review, but I'd recommend this game if you haven't played it ever. It is kind of cool. I mean, the graphics, aren't necessarily like 4K, whatever. But honestly, I don't mind that. I mean, I don't think, it's a goddamn video game. It doesn't have to be real. Like, I think that my whole thing, back in the day was the graphics, I was happy with graphics getting better in like the 7th generation, in the early 2000s or whatever. But I thought we kind of lost a little bit of gameplay in that. But this is one of those games that I didn't think was true. I thought the graphics were great and the gameplay was great. And I'm sure they're a great game. The Grand Theft Auto 5, I've never played, which I'm going to eventually. But, I think that, you know, games today, I know that there's a big emphasis on the graphics and whatever, and some people might kind of look at this and say, oh, the graphics are terrible, but it's not unplayable at all. I think the graphics are actually great. It doesn't have to be 100% realistic in order to be a good video game, because that's what it is. It's not real. So that's why it's kind of fun, and I appreciate it. So next up for me, I've been playing actually the Crash Bandicoot trilogy on my Switch, but I'm going to start actually playing Grand Theft Auto 4 for the 360. That's another game I actually bought a few years ago, but haven't really had the time to play it, or didn't really put in the effort either. But you know what? Fuck it. I've got some time. Beat Grand Theft Auto 3. Gonna play Grand Theft Auto 4 next. And then there's San Andreas and Vice City. And Grand Theft Auto 5, which I don't have. I don't have, actually, Grand Theft Auto Vice City either. But one thing at a time. But I think what I really want to do is play through the whole series. Not the first two for the original PlayStation. Rudolph! Not the first two for the original PlayStation. I get it, man. I get it. Just... Oh, we're almost done. Sorry, he wants to go graze or something. It's the first two were like the top-down mode. I don't really want to play those, but anyway. So that's all I really had for you guys today. I just want to talk to you about just some retro gaming issues I have. But overall, it's not even a big issue. I love retro gaming. I love playing the Xbox and Super Nintendo and stuff like that. It's not really that big of a problem, just a slight problem. But hey, let us know here at the Dave Hugh John podcast. If any of you guys play retro games out there, do you have this problem? What are your solutions for these problems if you have them, etc.? I just like saying that term, etc., because it's like expands everything, expands what I'm saying, I feel. Anyway, though, yeah, Dave will be back very soon. We're going to have the Dave Hugh John podcast is, doing really well. And I want to thank, I want to thank our viewers. Viewership's up, our metrics are up, everything's going well, and merchandise is going to happen, pretty soon. Actually, Terrence is working on the design properly as we speak, so don't worry, merchandise will be coming soon. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys are having a great day, and we'll see you back here next time, okay, for another video on the Dave Hugh John podcast. All right, Rudolph, say bye. That just wasn't as cute of an ending as I wanted, but whatever. All right, see you guys later.